Thank you, Chairwoman. Mr. DeLauro.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I welcome our guest this morning, and I thank you, Mr. Secretary, Undersecretary, and Mr. McCord. Thank you very, very much for being here this morning. I apologize for being late, but I think there's 6 hearings I'm going to get to between now and the end of the day. So let me just, there has been the discussion of the budget by some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, that what we ought to do with regard to the 2024 budget is to apply the 2022 numbers. And within that, there are a number of folks who believe that that may be true for non-defense efforts, but that and that we should hold, if you will, defense harmless in that effort. And I want to just briefly quote Undersecretary McCord in a letter that you sent to the Appropriations Committee this week. You stated, should, as some have suggested, the Defense Department be exempt from such reductions and the entire burden fall on non-defense discretionary agencies, the cuts would be just as harmful, even if distributed differently. Our whole of government response to Russia's aggression against Ukraine clearly demonstrates the value of integrating security assistance, economic assistance, humanitarian assistance, sanctions, and export controls. No one agency could achieve the effects we are producing as a team, and deep cuts to any one of the agencies would undermine the effort as a whole. For any of the witnesses, could you please outline how the non-defense funding affects the Department of Defense and our national security? For any of the witnesses. Mr. McCord, since I quoted you.
Thank you. Yes, Ukraine's probably the most vivid example, as said in the letter, of the teamwork that we require with export control sanctions, every kind of tool, and this goes across. Right, we need an educated workforce, which starts, with the school system. So we have all kinds of needs. Every time the Department of Homeland Security fails to get to the place they need to be to, we get called on to help. So there's so many connections of what we need to do. And as I think you are aware, I'm certainly aware that Chair Granger and Chairman Calvert are not advocating deep cuts to defense.
I understand that.
But then there's the math problem.
Why I said some.
Right. There's the math problem that we all understand, right? If you have half the discretionary budget is exempt, and that's what we're trying to recognize in our response.
Okay. Thank you, and I'm going to look forward to your help in this effort. Yes, General.
And as Mike has indicated, it is always a whole of government effort with these complex problem sets that we're dealing with. And the old saying that if you cut the State Department's budget too much, then you need to buy more bullets.
More ammunition.
Right, because what we want to do is we want to drive things towards greater stability and security around the globe, and of course, the solution to every problem is not necessarily a military solution, but we need to work together to provide access to other agencies so that they can reach the places they need to reach and do the things they need to do. But it is typically a whole of government effort, and I think we just need to remain mindful of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. If I might, I have, if you will, 2 parochial questions. I appreciate that, and I welcome your help as we move forward in terms of crafting the budget for 2024. And as I said, 2 parochial questions. As we move to the future of Army aviation, develop the future long-range assault aircraft, the reconnaissance aircraft, and this is, I'll be very, very brief. The question is related to the Blackhawk, even the eventual fielding of a new Flora rotary wing aircraft. I am told the Army will be still flying hundreds of UH-60M Blackhawks for the next 40 years. Many are flying now. What are the DoD's plans to preserve the industrial base, suppliers, and workforce that built the Blackhawk and vital to the Army aviation of the future? And I'll just add very, very quickly, this has to do with the F-35 I'd like to give you an opportunity, Mr. Secretary, that there have been really conflicting statements regarding Secretary Kendall's support for the upgrade. If you can just tell us what is the Department of Defense position on whether to upgrade the existing F-135 or develop a new engine for the F-35? Gotcha. Okay.
That's-
That's fine. That's
You might
fine. I
want to turn
appreciate
your
that.
mics on, too.
And with regard to the Blackhawk?
Well, there's no question that, that your home state provides a tremendous capability to
Very proud of it.
our overall defense effort. You mentioned the long-range aviation piece that, as you know, that's still a work in progress. That's in dispute, and because it's at that stage, I'm not able to make any comments. But again, I think that'll resolve itself going forward, and when it does, we'll make sure we come and brief you in a delegation.
I've just meant, I understand what the that there is a dispute and there will be a resolve of that, but there's also the issue of the continued use of Blackhawk helicopters. And will you continue to be using the Blackhawk, since it is, many are flying right now, and what will be, the future of the Blackhawk?
It's a workhorse, as you know, and so it'll be around for some time to come. And in the meantime, the Army and the other services continue to look for greater capability in the future, or additional capability in the future, and that work in terms of modernization will continue. But the Blackhawk has served us well. I've personally benefited from that tremendous aircraft, and I have every expectation that it will continue to do so going forward.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you for your courtesy, Mr. Chairman.